Have you ever heard about the Sodder children? This case is terrifying. On December 1945, the Sodder house is on fire. Someone desperately calls the police. A father tries to save his children, but can't make it out in time. And when firefighters arrive at the scene, they find only 2 of the 9 family members dead. 5 children are missing. It's Christmas Eve 1945. A thick fog hangs over the town of Fayetteville in West Virginia, USA. For the Sodder family, this night will be remembered as one of horror and despair. To this day, we don't know what exactly happened that night. Did a random tragedy strike? Or is there a darker conspiracy behind the story? Let's take a look at this haunting case together. In today's episode of Grave Mysteries, I'm your host. And we're going to be answering the extraordinary question, what happened to the Sodder children? The Sodder family came from southern Italy and had been living in America for several generations. They were poor, but happy. The family home was a converted barn. There were 3 boys and 5 girls in total. The eldest son was 14 years old. But even though he was a teenager, he still shared a bed with his younger siblings because the bedrooms were small. On the morning of December 1945, George Sodder left for work. His wife Jenny took the kids to Mass. That Sunday, the whole family gathered around the table for lunch. After that, everyone went back to their rooms. George had a basement workshop where he made shoes. The walls were lined with tin cans filled with gasoline. The volatile liquid was used to clean and soften leather. Around 5 p.m., George stopped by his basement to get some gasoline. He then went to the market. At the same time, his daughter Josephine came down the stairs to get a glass of water. She saw her father with an empty gas can. "Can you help me fill this up, Daddy?" she asked. George agreed. He opened the tap and stepped away to light a match. Suddenly, the entire basement was engulfed in flames. The can slipped from the girl's hands and fell to the floor. Screaming, Josephine ran upstairs. The fire was spreading rapidly. It wasn't long before the whole house was a blazing inferno. Jenny called the children outside. But the mother didn't see her youngest daughter, 2-year-old Betty. "Where's Betty?" she shouted to her husband. Without thinking twice, George ran inside to look for the little girl. Soon, the roof collapsed. Everyone could only watch in horror as the flames spread through the building. By the time the first police officers arrived, the fire was already spreading to the neighboring houses. 2 of the family members were dead. The rest were gone. The local volunteer fire brigade struggled for more than an hour to put out the fire. Only Jenny's body was found. The whereabouts of George, the children, and their eldest son remained a mystery. What exactly caused the fire has never been definitively clarified. The official investigation into the cause of the deadly fire was completed after just 6 hours. The authorities came to the conclusion that it must have been an accident. However, Jenny's sister refused to believe that. And neither she nor the rest of the family ever stopped searching for the missing people. Not even George's brother, who had lost his eyesight, gave up hope. He wanted to personally distribute flyers with his brother's picture on them. The case of the Sodder children became well known throughout the United States. One woman reported that she had seen a stranger wandering around the village on December. Other witnesses later said they had seen the same man taking pictures of the Sodder family home. The images were developed and showed nothing but a blank wall. Some people also claimed to have seen a stranger hanging around the Sodder family home on the day of the fire. Then there was the mysterious phone call. A woman later told the police that at around 8 p.m. on the evening of the fire, someone had called her from a neighbor's house. The person on the other end of the line asked if the Sodder family was there. When the woman said no, the caller replied, "Thank you very much." It sounded as if the person speaking was relieved. Who was the mysterious caller, and what did they want? These questions have remained unanswered to this day. Another peculiarity was the behavior of the fire engine driver. According to the testimonies of those present, the driver suddenly panicked when he saw the blazing house. He let the hose run out, which prevented the firefighters from extinguishing the fire more quickly. However, the man later explained that he had not actually seen the flames, although the house was only 100 meters away. So why had he driven so slowly? Shortly after the disaster, the Sodder family received two strange letters. In both of them, the writers spoke of having the Sodder children in their possession. However, these were not ransom demands. Instead, the authors simply informed the Sodder family of all the bad things that had happened to them and would happen to them. Another letter contained a photo of two children. It showed two young boys who resembled the Sodder children, but they didn't seem to be in any danger. Even stranger, however, were the contents of the following letters. The authors now threatened to kill the children. They also sent photos showing the children in coffins and even with bullet holes in their heads. But despite the threats, the children were never seen. Did the mysterious senders actually have the children in their possession, or were they just trying to scare the family? While the relatives searched tirelessly for George, Jenny, and the children, many years passed. During this time, the Sodder family paid for a large billboard on which a reward was offered for any information. But the people who called in with news were less helpful than expected. The Sodder relatives repeatedly received calls saying they had seen a boy who looked like one of the missing children. But when the excited family rushed to the supposed sighting, it turned out that it was not their child. This happened again and again. Did the poor souls just want to help, or were they leading the police and the desperate relatives astray? However, the question remains, how did the fire start? Even the FBI believed that the blaze was caused by a faulty electrical circuit. Other people, however, suspected that George had accidentally set the house on fire while trying to remove an unsightly stain with gasoline. Still others blamed their son, who was teased at school because of his dark skin color. Could he have started the fire out of revenge? However, the most exciting, but also the darkest theory says that the fire was no accident. As a poor Italian, George was heavily involved in his homeland's culture. He often arranged events with other Italians in his barn, which is why the building also served as a kind of meeting place. The Italian community was particularly large in Fayetteville. In fact, it's believed that some members of the local community had ties to the mafia. The head of the family had argued with one or more members of the clan. As a result, George and his family were kidnapped on the orders of the mob. The fire was set afterwards to cover up the crime. This would explain why the kidnappers contacted the family beforehand. They wanted to ensure that they were at church and the children at home alone. Who was really behind the kidnapping? We may never know. The search was discontinued in 1968. By that time, the parents were dead. Little Betty was only 7 years old when she died. The whereabouts of the other 4 children remain unknown. So what do you think really happened to the Sodder children? Leave your opinion in the comments. Thanks for watching. Please remember to like, subscribe to our channel, and turn on the bell to follow other cases like this one. Now have a look at this video and see you next time.